Well, that Chad Sutherland seems like a nice, personable young guy, doesn't he?
Personable? He's a pest. I mean, I've told him so many times I'm not interested in him, and I keep mentioning Gavin. It does no good. Nothing affects him.
Well, there's only one answer then. I mean, if his attentions are unwelcome, you just got to tell him so once and for all.
Tried telling him. Well, I guess I just have to be more firm about it. You know what I think? I think Chad thinks he can stake a claim while Gavin's out of town.
He's not the shy, retiring type, is he?
Not at all. You know, maybe what I should do is tell Chad I don't want him to paint my portrait. You know, tell him I'm happy with the other one that looks like me.
Well, now, wait a minute. That might be a little awkward, because that portrait, after all, is a gift from the Endicotts, so they might be a little offended.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, then I'll just have to be very stern with Chad.
I'm sure you'll figure out how to handle him.
I'm sorry I took so long.
That's all right. How are things home?
I don't know. I've tried calling home at least half a dozen times, and nobody has answered the phone. I don't understand it.
Maybe Mrs. Goodman's in the bath.
Or maybe she's asleep, didn't hear the phone ring.
No, she's a very light sleeper. The slightest noise wakes her up. Adam could sigh, and she'd come running. I don't want to be an alarmist, but I'm worried about it.
Please. Oh, God, please. Somebody. Help. Help me. Oh, God.
Raven, I hate to see you like this. You have worked yourself up into an awful state of nerves. And if you don't sit down and try to pull yourself together, then you may fly apart in all directions.
I can't help it. I am going crazy.
I still think you'd feel better if you had something to eat. You haven't eaten a thing since...
No. I don't want anything to eat. I can't eat.
Raven, when you can't eat, something is radically wrong.
Well, how do you expect me to think about food at a time like this? Someone is trying to take away all my money, and I am going insane!
Oh, for heaven's sake, stop dramatizing yourself. Haven't you been through enough real-life drama recently without predicting the end of the world for yourself? I'm telling you, it isn't anything of the sort. Now, you sit down and think about this calmly.
Look, the only thing that I can think about is someone is trying to take away everything, and they're not going to do it. Because I went through hell to get all of this. And I am not going to let anyone take it away without a fight.
Now, you listen to me, my girl. Whatever is right and whatever the law permits is what you're going to have to abide by. You'll save yourself a lot of grief if you will understand that fact. In any case, it isn't as if you were going to be thrown out on the street.
Oh, yeah? That's exactly what they're trying to do to me.
Raven, you are what is called a survivor in more ways than one.
That's right. And I am not going to let them take anything that belongs to me.
What belongs to you, or what you think belongs to you, and what does now, are two different things. Are you expecting someone?
Yes, I am. Jim Diedrichson. I asked him to come over here because I'm going to find out if he knows anything more about this gang. Maybe I can get some ammunition. Hi. Come in.
Good evening.
So, does it feel any better being yourself as opposed to Bennett Matthews?
Yes, it does.
Geraldine, I think you know Jim Diedrichson.
Yes, of course, Mr. Diedrichson.
How do you
Good
do?
evening. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad at last to have the chance to tell you how grateful we are for your persistence in trying to find Raven.
Oh.
And now I understand why you were so anxious that day you came to see me at the station.
Well, I deserve no thanks, but I have to tell you how much regret I have about this whole experience, especially for Raven.
Oh, yeah, I regret it a lot, too.
Well, I'm glad you called me anyway. I wondered how you're doing after your ordeal, if there was anything I could do for you.
Yes, there is. You see, I'm having a worse ordeal right now, and I think you can help me.
How?
All right. I want you to tell me everything that you know about every person involved in that scam and exactly why they did it.
But I've already...
I know. You told me about Calvin, and you told me about Clifford, and you told me about that rat, Johnny Gentry, and you told me about Mitzi, what's her name. But I want to know about the rest of them, particularly those Wilson brothers.
Well, I've already told you everything I know about the Wilson brothers. Smiley was the one that started it, and then Hector was in on it, too, and then slowly, as we all started to drop out of it, Hector and Smiley continued on with it. They saw a way to make their fortune. And at the end, they decided that there was nothing that was going to stop them.
They paid the ultimate price, didn't they?
Yes. I'm afraid I'm going to feel the responsibility of locking Smiley in that jail for the rest of my life.
But that was only circumstance. It was a terrible accident. You didn't plan it that way.
Yes.
Look, I don't care about all that. What about Nora? Is it true that she was blackmailed into this scheme?
Whatever gave you that idea?
Because she came over here today and said that Spencer forced her into it.
Raven, you can be sure that nothing Nora Fulton tells you is the truth. She's a pathological liar.
That's exactly what I thought. What about Spencer? Spencer is the one I want to know most about. Tell me, what were his motives?
I can't help you. I don't know Spencer. I don't know what his motives were.
Well, all I know is he's still involved in this game. And he's trying to get me again. He's trying to force me into poverty.
Hello, Spencer. I didn't know you were the type to drink alone.
Nora Fulton, the last person in the world I wanted to see.
I'm overwhelmed with your welcome.
How did you know I'd be here?
I knew this was your favorite watering hole. Popular with the servant class, I imagine.
May I buy you a drink?
Why so friendly all of a sudden?
Well, I thought it might buy me some information about an old friend.
What old friend?
Your ex-old man, Gunther.
What do you want to know about him?
Something interesting. Did you know that he had a brother?
Of course I did. Gunther talked about him a few times, not with brotherly love. Of course, they despised each other. Why do you want to know about his brother?
Did you ever meet Bruno Wagner?
No, never.
Maybe you did and you just didn't know it.
Look, are you drunk or something? If you can't hold your liquor, then don't drink.
Well, maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I'm only laughing because life is so funny, isn't it, Nora? I mean, everything comes in twos. There's double Whitneys, double Wagners, double brandy and sodas.
I think you're seeing double. You're obviously not going to be much help to me in this state.
You wanted me to help you? It's another laugh, Nora.
Look, I am out of a job. There's no way I can work here. I just want to get out of this tank town.
For that, Nora, I would gladly give you everything I have. But, unfortunately, all I have is enough for the waitress's gratuity. Anyway, Nora, remember what I said about... Everything comes in twos.
Hey, you didn't order any dessert or coffee. Was everything all right with the dinner?
Everything was fine, thanks.
No, there just might be a slight problem at home that we need to check on.
Come on, good night, Sid.
Good night.
Good night. Hope everything's all right.
Yeah, thank you.
Why don't they come home? Please, please, please. They can't stay out all night. Right. They can't. All right, honey. So just try to hang on, will you? Just a little longer. Come on now. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Right. Right. All right, you're not scared. Oh, God, the worst thing is the terrible feeling that I just must go to the edge. I must.
hi there, handsome.
Oh, how you doing, Sid?
Well, I'm hanging in there, I guess.
You okay? You look a little bit somber.
Yeah, well, a dear friend of mine just died. Just making a little bow to his passing, that's all. Well, you know what they say. Nobody lives forever, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Hey, listen, Damian, Calvin's over there all by himself, moping. Maybe you could go over there and see if you can pick his chin up off the floor, huh?
Okay, I'll do that. I've been looking for him anyway. You take care of him, Sid.
Yeah.
Well, how you doing, Calvin, old buddy?
Please, please, don't be so disgustingly happy. It's a very irritating thing to a man who's indulging his depression.
I'm sorry, it's just a part of my nature.
Yeah, what are you doing here anyway? You were supposed to be out celebrating your return to the fold with Poppy. What happened?
Well, Poppy's not much in the mood for celebrating. Somebody worked her over, Calvin.
What are you talking about?
I mean, somebody beat her up. She's got a gash under her left eye and a big bruise on her cheekbone.
And who would do a thing like that?
Well, we don't have to guess, do we? Obviously, it was Eddie Lorimer, one of his henchmen.
Yeah, well, what for?
Well, I think Eddie found out that she made an anonymous tip to the police department about that fur shop that Eddie was secretly running. Threw a wrench in his plans to get me kicked off the police force.
Yeah, I'm sure that must have been a real disappointment to old Ed.
Well, he was disappointed enough to beat the hell out of Poppy.
Well, she's probably not going to say anything about it, so you can't do anything about it.
That's what I don't understand is why does she want to keep that job?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she's too scared to leave.
She ought to be too scared to stay there. I'm going to see if I can't get her to change her mind and take another job.
Wait a minute, what is all this interest in this chick? I mean, is this just some friendly concern or is something serious happening?
Calvin, I'm just trying to help the lady out.
You know what kind of a lady she is. I mean, there's no point in trying to reform her. It's only going to mean a lot of trouble.
Well, maybe I think she's worth the trouble, Calvin. Besides, do I ever give you advice about your women?
As a matter of fact, yes. And tonight, I am a man who can definitely use some.
Oh, where would I put it after such a marvelous meal?
Nancy?
I'd love some club soda, honey.
Okay.
Valerie, I meant to ask you, how are things going at the studio?
Busier than ever. Really, a lot of work piled up for me while I was in Europe. So I've been trying to catch up with all that, and I guess I've really just been trying to adjust to all the things that have been revealed since I've been back. Seems like there's a new development every minute in that Sky Whitney thing.
Actually, I'd like to talk to you about that this evening, Valerie, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Nancy told me about her conversation with you today regarding the man you knew in Lucerne as Jim Dietrichson.
Mike, I can't believe that it was Jeff Brown. I'm feeling pretty stupid.
Well, I'm sorry to bring it up again, but it's important that we know as much as possible about this man.
All I can think about is how busy he must have been going from one identity to the next. Jeff Brown, Jim Dietrichson, Sky Whitney. Good old Valerie fell for all of them.
No, you weren't alone.
That's right. You said he may have stolen some top-secret documents from the government? Well, I guess if he can deceive the State Department, I shouldn't feel so bad.
So far, the theft of vital documents is only conjecture. However, we do know that he did steal another man's name and his fortune.
Mike is investigating the legal ramifications of the case.
And they become more complex every day. Raven Whitney has retracted the statement she made in her confession. She insists now that she didn't know about her husband's deception and that the man who's come back to Monticello as Sky Whitney is the imposter.
Oh, no. Well, why did she say the opposite was true at first, then?
She said she made the statement under duress.
You see, if she were coerced in any way, she would have the legal right to retract the statement. However, that doesn't mean her original statement wasn't true.
Valerie, is there anything that you can think of, something about Jefferson Brown that you might have forgotten?
Oh, let me think. Nancy, Jeff Brown in St. Moritz was fun, energetic, witty. And Jeff Brown as Jim Dietrichson was shy, gentle, more intellectual. I never would have thought that they could be the same man. I don't know what to tell you.
Could there have been possibly some unique physical characteristic? Something as simple as a scar, a birthmark, something like that?
Yes, yes. Jeff Brown had a very prominent scar on his back, right over his shoulder. I noticed it at the pool one day, and when I asked him about it, he said it was where a friend had stabbed him in the back.
Valerie, I think you may have just given us a key.
Well, you see, the financial spot that I'm in, people are trying to take my fortune away from me.
Sorry I can't help you more with that.
We're deeply in your debt for the help you have given us. Raven owes you her life. There isn't any question of that. Isn't that true, Raven?
I suppose so.
I mean you suppose so. If it were not for Jim Diedrichson, you wouldn't be holding this conversation right now. I think he should be rewarded in some way.
Thank you, Mrs. Saxon. But the only reward I want is forgiveness. Not just for me, but for Cliff and Calvin and Mitzi. They didn't know. I didn't know. And we wanted no harm to come to Raven. None of us did. Well, in that case, if there's anything I can do for either one of you ladies, please let me know. Thank you. I'll show myself out.
Good night, Mr. Diedrichson. Raven, that young man was asking you for something. Forgiveness. And you didn't respond.
Hey, look. Those people hurt me. Deeply. You have no idea how I agonized every single day for weeks. And I'm sorry, but I can't just tell those people, hey, it's okay, no problem. Besides, I have more important things on my mind.
Be that as it may, I think your mind, as well as your conscience, would be better served if you would stop trying to deny the truth.
I am not denying anything.
Oh, but you are.
Geraldine, you are the one that is supposed to be standing by my side.
Raven, stop it. You know perfectly well that you have already admitted the truth to me. The man you married was not my nephew. He was Jefferson Brown. Now, you may not have known that before you married him, but you did find out eventually. You knew about it months before he died. And you collaborated with him in the deception.
Yes,
and you know perfectly well why you did it.
Of course. Because he is the only man I have ever loved in my life, and I would have done anything for him.
Yes, because it kept you living comfortably.
All right. But that wasn't the only reason. You know me like a book. So you know I loved him. And if you love me, you'll help me. Please help me. I can't do this by myself. You have to stand by me, Geraldine. You must.
There's no sign of Mrs. Goodman up there, and Adam is fast asleep.
Crazy. She's got to be here somewhere.
Not in the kitchen either.
All right. She left the apartment.
She wouldn't do that with Adam
maybe if
here.
there was an emergency of some kind, she
But then
might
she'd take Adam with her.
I suppose she... Yes, Oscar, what is it?
Doctor, I'm real sorry. Did I forget to give Miss Jody a letter that arrived for her? Why don't I run it right up in the elevator now?
Listen, Oscar, did you see Mrs. Goodman leave the building any time tonight?
No, sir. Not unless she went by parachute.
You were not tough enough at the moment to fight me. Now, just go ahead and take it. Come on.
All right. This is the worst thing that Nora Fulton has done yet. She knew perfectly well that you were terrified of heights.
Oh, I'll say she did. She laughed all the way to the elevator. The woman is sick. She ought to be locked up.
I'm going to do my best to make sure she is. At least make sure she's punished for this kind of a thing.
Oh! Come on, Mrs. Goodman. I'll help you to your room.
Oh, thank you. I could really use that. Can I do anything?
Oh, thank you, Jody. That's all right.
Thank you. Oh, boy.
Oh, Oscar, I forgot you were coming up. Thanks a lot. Oscar said this arrived for you. I don't know what it is.
Jody Travis, if you want to know the truth about the portrait, go to the Saracen Head bookshop on Mortimer Place tomorrow evening at 6. Come alone or you learn nothing.
What is this? Is it kind of a joke?
I don't know, but it's signed Eridu.
arranging the flight. One for you, one for me, and one for Miss Jane Thompson, otherwise known as Miss Jody Travis.
Watching